Hello and welcome to the Edgycators Podcast. That's educators with a C, not a G. Very important. We'll talk about that later. We are a brand new podcast being recorded here for this television history class at Cal State LA. And yeah, I'm Andrew.
I'm Chad.
I'm Veronica.
Caroline.
I'm Dallas.
And basically, we've created this podcast to sort of evoke the early years of television and radio, the way that those early pioneering creators made those kind of homegrown programs back in the day. And we want to use this platform to talk about, that history of television and also tie it, to the modern events, current relevant media topics, like what we're going to do today, maybe. But first, let's talk about a little bit, why we're here at Cal State LA, why we're here at the film department. Anybody want to jump in with that, maybe?
Yeah, I think finance is a really important part as to why we go to Cal State LA. So I enjoyed the cost effectiveness. I appreciate it because I'm struggling as a student. So it's nice to, have support from a Cal State that also gives quality education. And also, that's what I like about it.
That's a solid point. I, too, am here for the financial benefits. I take the train. It stops here. That's all.
I like trains. They're cool.
They're superior
No, yeah,
form.
but the metro here is actually really convenient. I do appreciate the fact that it's literally at the bottom of the hill. So we're on campus, and then once we're done, we get to go home. So yeah, I appreciate that a lot.
Less pollution, too.
Yeah, that's true.
For me, I guess I'm the only one that's not convenient because it's farther away from my house.
Oh.
But I didn't want to stick to being anywhere near where I live. So I was Cal State LA or somewhere close, and I'm just trying to, I guess, make connections with everybody here, and I also got accepted. So yeah.
That's a good one.
Ding, ding.
Yes, I was also accepted. I am also broke and live close to LA. In addition, we always hear about LA being the hub for entertainment and stuff like that. So it does seem like this is the best place to be for someone who wants to write movies and TV. It hasn't helped yet, but when I graduate, I assume I'm just going to step into LA and get a job.
No, I hope so.
Yeah, I'm also
Fingers crossed.
living on a prayer here. I actually started off here as an engineering major, which is kind of interesting. But then I realized I hate doing math homework. I should have realized that sooner. So I bailed to my second option, which was film. And I'm also doing screenwriting here. So, I like just doing
Oh yeah, we're all
dumb things on paper. Like, pay me for that, please. But yeah, hopefully we can use our platforms for good here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see.
I think it's cool because we all genuinely care about television. So it's nice to know that, we'll have a podcast that's centered around television, but we also genuinely care about where this industry is going and also the people that are involved. If you notice, this table is pretty diverse. We care about the impact that we're bringing into the industry. So I think bringing all these fresh perspectives into it, obviously this structure is going to be switching up every week. We want to have different perspectives. So you won't always see us. But still, I think it's important that we talk to students that are going into the industry because we're going to be the future generation of the film industry. So, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it's not as reactionary as it is now
Yeah,
when we go into
exactly.
it.
We are the future.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, basically the way
Bow down to us. Well, assuming there is one. Global warming, what are you going to say?
But yeah, we want to structure this podcast because we want to incorporate, special topics, something that's important to us as film creators, and we want to bring that to you guys. We want to bring our perspective. We may not be the most important people on the planet, but I do think that we should, have a perspective. But yeah.
Do you guys think there will still be television in the global warming wars, the resource wars?
That's a good question.
The resource wars or the water wars of 2020?
They're basically kind of like symbiotic conflicts. So
Ah.
it's like talking about
Yes.
it's like the proxy wars of the Cold War.
Yes. I do think television will still exist.
Is there a reason why?
Because advertising will save us all.
Oh my God, okay.
When I think...
We're not going into this.
Look, all right, yeah. It's a good question, honestly. Now we're talking about television stuff, our careers. Like, it is kind of an issue that's coming up. Something I do think about sometimes. Like, how long is this industry gonna last? Like, realistically. I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, that's to say, if we are continuing on a path where we're going to be internet heavy. I think a lot of our content is from the internet. Don't get me wrong, we have a lot of cable that's still very prevalent and have made an impact, but because we're transitioning into the internet, who knows if that's going to be around forever too,
or how that's going to
it's-
transform like
exactly.
the industry. Like we probably don't even know what's going to how it's like industries are going to transform like in the next 5 years or something. Like
Right.
it's accelerating as it were. Yeah.
I think television is safe, at least for the time being. I don't think it's going anywhere because most of us watch TV.
Yeah.
We're in a
I don't
class
watch
about
TV.
the history of TV.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We paid for it. So
Yeah, we did.
I
That's why we're
did.
here.
to some
We did
extent,
pay
we
it.
all care about television enough that here we are.
Yeah.
Reading
That's
a book
true.
about television that mostly talks about radio.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because that's kind of like a broad definition of television.
But I
then.
think because the foundation was so heavily involved in radio, like obviously we didn't have the resources for television at that time, so radio was what we had. But the transition, the fact that we come back to it today, like we're here doing a podcast, which is essentially the same thing as a radio show, proves to me that like history, one, repeats itself, but also that these trends don't die, they just come in waves almost. Like people enjoy hearing people's perspectives. That's why podcasts are so popular. But also television itself is popular because we like visuals. We like caring about stories and characters, not just real people. So yeah, I don't think television is ever gonna die because we like to escape from reality a lot.
Yeah.
Sure.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. No, go ahead.
It's gonna change
For sure.
But yeah, definitely it's not gonna die. I mean, not in the way that we think that's no longer like. I mean, if you destroy a television set, TV still will exist. Not necessarily in this box, but TV will still be TV.
Yeah, especially like shows, kind of like just the structure of what we have now. We've already seen that change in terms of a story. Like from the transition of cable television, we saw act structures where there's like breaks where we have ads versus streaming. They don't prepare for that. They just go right into it because there's no ads. We pay for that premium service. So I do think that we might go into a way of no ads or even just like product placement. But when it comes to that, I think we might go into a tricky situation of like knowing when we're being lied to or knowing when we're being advertised to. So that might be a conflict in television in the future. But
Yeah, this conversation kind of reminded me of some other historical events. If I were to bring it back to the
history.
genesis of the podcast, when television first came into being, this is right around the collapse of the studio system, I believe, and so like there was that whole conflict between television and film. So that meant that both film and television had to change to kind of keep up with each other, and there was a sort of revolution happening there. Maybe we're seeing another one of those kind of paradigm shifts now of television giving way to, like we've been talking about, the newer kind of formats of content distribution. However, I'm on the team that television should fundamentally die, I think, so that we can start getting something new and interesting on top of it. It's getting pretty stale.
Yeah.
If we want to get into our main topic today, which again is, the television in general, the state of television. How do we think about that? What do we think? What are we watching? What are our opinions? I don't know.
I just have to say something. Going back to what you said about we know when we're being advertised to. I think there's a difference between if we know and if we care.
Yeah.
Because people will watch something and be like, oh, that's clearly an ad. Like, if anyone watches this and notices Chad is just trying to place random products on the table, they might keep watching. They might not.
True.
Especially since, to my knowledge, he hasn't been paid by anyone to do that.
He's had his labor stolen, basically.
Yeah.
Well, looks like we're just about out of time, but before we go, when I'm a little chilly, inside or out, I reach to the oldest name in coats, London Fog, style where it matters.
Man.
This has been the Edgycator Podcast. I'm Chad.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Veronica.
I'm Caroline.
Wait, are we done?
Yes, we
Yeah,
are.
we're actually wrapping up. I didn't see the
No, yeah, he yeah.
Okay.
Yeah?
we're good,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Then I'm down
Yeah,
in that
cool.
case.
So
Stay edgy. Also,
stay
Stay
edgy.
we
edgy.
gotta sell it next week.
Oh yeah. So what are we talking about in the further coming weeks?
We might have a guest. We might not. You have to find out.
Yeah, if you know somebody famous, please leave it in the comments
It's not
Time
how
to
this
call
works.
us.
for our jobs and for the podcast.
Not crowdsourced.
But yeah,
No?
go ahead.
But that's it. Yeah, we might have a guest.
And we also want to definitely talk into like special topics, things that are relevant, things that we all care about, obviously. And yeah, our whole goal here is to try and bring our perspective and, educate y'all.
Yeah, so it's like,
on our perspective.
Stay tuned for, our looks at, how television kind of brought the R. Kelly thing back to the limelight and how that's actually resulting in some prosecution now. Or maybe even, comparing some of the historical media coverage of different U.S. imperial conflicts, like maybe the Gulf War
That's
or
a little
Venezuela.
too deep.
Yeah,
Well,
really heavy,
again,
too.
we're talking
Thanks for
about
watching.
television history.
Thank you for watching. This has been Edgycators. No,
And make sure-
Caters. Wow. This is
Does anybody have a
Edgycators.
textbook? Like,
And make sure to mention my name at checkout for pop sockets. Customizable, affordable, easy to maintain.
tell
Pop
us
sockets.
why you hate us in the
Chad at
comments,
checkout.
please.